everybody, welcome to Off the Rack. I'm Sal.
I'm Ben.
And I'm Tiffany.
Today we're going to be off the screen talking about James Mangold's Logan, the final installment in the X-Men franchise starring Hugh Jackman.
I think we should have talked about the name of this.
Yeah, I figure we're jumping off the screen.
Oh, we're off the screen?
I was thinking we're doing this 3D,
We're talking about the movie being off the screen. You take the comic off the rack, get the movie off the screen. I would not call this an X-Men movie. This is a Wolverine movie, and I think that the cool thing about it is that it says that basically all the last X-Men, all the X-Men movies up until now have been Wolverine movies. It's like,
Yeah.
like they've all hinged on the success of Hugh Jackman being Wolverine.
Yeah.
And you're gonna have to get used to a world where that's not gonna happen. I would not be surprised if after this movie they don't cast Wolverine for a while. Like, just because there's...
Yeah, stay away from it.
Just stay away from it. Just see if you can... Because here's the thing, like, casting Hugh Jackman was lightning in a bottle. They didn't know who that dude was. They didn't know how well received it was going to be. So received that it was almost 2 decades worth of Wolverine movies. But they can't just say, like, okay, well, don't worry, everybody. I know you all love Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, but we've got Wolverine back, and he's this guy. Like, no. So just... And the fact is, the X-Men were a successful franchise, in comics at least, well before they established Wolverine, to the point where Wolverine debuts in a Hulk book. Like, no. There's plenty of untapped space and room for X-Men without Wolverine. That said, Logan is just a Wolverine movie. And intelligently titled, by the way, so that like it wouldn't be called like Old Man Logan or Wolverine the End or anything like that. So that children weren't like wandering into the theater with their X-Men doll. Like in the movie Logan, where there's a kid who's holding a Wolverine action figure.
Which was great.
Yeah. He was like, this is not what I was expecting.
I expected blue and yellow.
This poor kid is holding this X-Men like Wolverine action figure after having watched the real Wolverine cutting people's faces open with his adamantium claws. Like, oh, that's a lot darker than what I was led to believe.
Speaking of the violence, too, this movie went places right off the bat.
Yes. But I gotta say, the violence was brutal, but not gratuitous.
I'll say one thing that I didn't enjoy in the movie.
Oh, yeah?
X-24.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I liked the fact that it's a logical next step for a Wolverine clone.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like the fact that it was just named X-24.
Oh, you didn't like the name?
I didn't like the name.
Well, he's the X-24 project.
I know.
Because, like, all the children were technically X-23.
Yeah.
Were they?
Yeah, they're all X-23. Like, when he's looking through the papers.
They're all X-23 hyphen something.
I was trying to scan the page. I never got to that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, because I saw X-23. Like, well, I knew it was
because you knew it was X-23, you just,
Yeah, so, like, they've scrapped that whole project.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then they moved on to the 24th project, which is Wolverine clone.
Which was growing an adult, I guess?
Yeah.
With, like, a childlike mind.
Right.
Which you could mold.
Yeah.
Well, he doesn't have to mold
Well,
it. Like,
control it.
He can't, it won't grow any further. And, like, it's controlled by rage and emotions.
Yeah.
And see, this is where I would have talked about family, because what you didn't say, Ben, was that the whole movie, inspects families, every type of family out there, not just the Wolverine Professor X, the Wolverine X-23 relationship, but the X-24 and his creator relationship, the family we run into in the farmhouse. The fact that X-23 has a surrogate mom for a little bit while, the family of children themselves. Like, this movie literally is like Saga in its ability to take families of all different, like, sizes and shapes and, like, families that you're not quite used to, and, like, put them out there in front of you.
And, like, pit them against each other or team them up together.
Yeah.
It's just the movie was supposed to be called, like, the Logan family.
Right? And
it's just
like,
about that. And
it's the most dysfunctional, like, individual in terms of family is Logan, which is funny because you have this man who is literally like a monster who creates a, like, Frankenstein, essentially. And he is more loving towards that than Logan is towards his own, like, daughter,
child,
like whatever, up until
until he is.
Yeah.
I really was disappointed that the main antagonist was a younger Wolverine.
I don't think the main antagonist is that. Like, I think that's like that's just a thing they put in the movie. Like, that's not the main antagonist. The main antagonist is almost Logan.
Well, yes. Yeah.
Like, it's Logan himself and, like, his desires and, like, his inability to accept the reality of things and like, to move on.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that is, I think, what like the real conflict is. Like
Yeah.
he like the kids getting across the border, you know what I mean? Like that's something that's happening.
Right.
You know, but like it's Logan as an individual, and like it's Logan who has like a storied past.
Really sad to think that like
Yeah.
things are great, and then Professor X kills everyone.
Yes.
And then no one's happy.
Right.
And then everyone dies.
Now I know we all were talking about that too, about the Professor X killing everyone.
Yes.
There's a lot of theories going on around that. Like mine, when we left the theater, like
Yeah.
I was like, so. I know everyone was like, oh, it must have been the thing in the... Not everyone, but a lot of people were like, oh, it must be the stuff they put in the water and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, because there's... And actually, it's interesting, really quick.
Because they put a lot of things in there.
They drop a lot of hints, they set up a lot of things, and thankfully they don't make it the big crux. They don't have to go fight Big Corn and like have to deal with that.
No.
They just say like, look, there's these big companies, one of them bought up all the corn. They used they used corn to... Because the corn industry is actually in everything that we eat and drink. Like, they played with that convention and said that they used this industry to control or cull the mutant population, but also maybe did other nefarious things, but in specific dealt with the mutant population.
Right.
So like that's involved in some way.
Yeah, but so my theory was that it had that had nothing to do with happened
to
Charles Xavier.
That like the corn control of mutants did not affect Professor X's mental ability to freeze everyone.
I think that was okayed because of what happened to Charles. I think he really did have a
degenerative mental disorder.
Yeah, whether it be Alzheimer's or anything else that I can't come up with right now. But I assume that that's what happened, and either he took control of Wolverine.
Yeah.
Or he did the thing where
where everyone froze and killed everyone.
Yeah, exactly.
And if it's the first time, they don't know how to respond to that.
Yeah.
Right, which meant that... And here's the thing. If that's the case, I would love to know how Logan stopped him.
Yeah.
Which is why I do wonder if it was Alzheimer's and instead of having a seizure, because it seemed like he was having seizures, which I don't always... Like, I don't know if that's a direct correlation with that.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, if it had something to do with him forgetting who he was or forgetting what was happening, and he did, like, reach out and use Logan, like, he would have just been confused and, like, lashing out.
Right.
And then, like he may have inevitably had the seizures. But I think it was because of that. I'm guessing it was, like, some sort of event that everyone found out about it. And, like, they were like, we have to do something about this.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah, well, there's a scene on the radio in Logan where they mention that it took place in Westchester.
Yeah.
There were X-Men comic books. It affected the X-Men, or at least the radio person was going to say that the X-Men were killed.
Yeah.
So there's some point between Days of Future Past and Logan, if we're going to establish that Days of Future Past is part of this continuity, that the X-Men are a big deal, and that like they get out of the shadows and become like a superhero team,
exactly.
or at the very least that they're responsible for helping humanity.
Right, and then like their leader goes ballistic and seemingly kills them all.
Yes.
So like I think that's a great ploy. I also like for me like I like the idea that Professor X is stricken with a entirely human disease.
Yes. Yeah. Your idea is not that it's part of some ridiculously circuitous scheme.
It's just, it happens. And, like, I think that makes their relationship more relatable for us on the outside. Because it's like, you may have a family member who's like that. You may have gone to visit, like a grandmother or a grandfather who is stricken like that. And, like, it's hard to do.
Yeah, well, it plays with the idea of, like, everybody always goes to Professor X. Right?
Yep.
Everybody needs Professor X. Professor X is the linchpin of the X-Men, especially in these movies, and it's like, what happens when you go to your leader and your leader is, broken?
Yeah, or
infallible,
it's like... Or
it's brought down by disease, something that you can't help and control.
Right, and that can even, like, in terms of the family element, like, in families, like, when you're like getting older and like maybe your parents are getting older, and if that's something that starts to happen, it's that moment where you suddenly realize that you're the caregiver,
right, that your roles are reversing,
right? And it's like, what responsibility will you take? And for Logan, that's huge, because Logan's the kind of guy who takes off, he leaves, he goes and like he avoids things, you know what I mean? But like, not this time. Like,
he manages, I think, to balance both.
I think he does.
Where he's
like,
I'll take A, all the X-Men are dead, so there's no one left,
right?
And B, he's like, I will take care of you.
Right.
But I will also still be like a miserable drunken jerk.
Right, but I mean, he could have taken care of it like he took care of Jean Grey at the end of X3.
I'm actually kind of
glad he didn't.
Yeah, I'm glad he doesn't just straight up go like, "Oh, you're a problem, cut off head." Like,
no, but like he's like, no, like I think
like,
it's because he's the father figure. He respects him too much.
Yes,
like
he was given so much by Professor X too.
Yeah, given he was given a home. Even though he didn't accept it.
Right, but like, so like he falls into this role of like being like, I have to provide, like, and I'll do anything that like I can in order to do that.
Yeah,
it's also an interesting juxtaposition since Wolverine has the healing factor that I don't think he will go through a degenerative disease like what Professor X is doing. Yeah. So he has lived a long time, sure.
Yeah, well, they're all like, I always like the idea of like them being kind of equals.
Yeah,
you know, like they're both old men.
Right, except in this, of course, Wolverine's being poisoned.
Yes, because, and that I do think, okay, so in another plot point is Wolverine's adamantium is poisoning him, which is actually a great pull from the Death of Wolverine comic.
Okay.
Where Wolverine's healing factor is broken.
Okay.
And so, as such, the metal crafted to a skeleton is giving him blood poisoning, and he's just dying. He's just straight up dying. Mm-hmm. And it's directly correlated. Like, it's pulled right from that comic into this movie. And I'm willing to say that the Korn plot is the result of the healing factor inertia. Like the fact that he lost the healing factor is a casualty of the culling of the mutant population.
Oh, okay. Along with the adamantium poisoning, or no?
No, the adamantium poisoning is just like
it would have happened.
He wouldn't have. Yeah, he would never have gotten it if he didn't lose his healing factor. But the fact that because the idea is that no one can survive the adamantium bonding process without a healing factor.
Right, doesn't that mean that inevitably happen to X-23?
Yes. Well,
yeah, when her healing factor starts to degenerate.
Well, only
if that's the case.
Only if she's affected by the Korn.
Right, which we see when when they go to the convenience store, she's like immediately like she's into all these foods and all this stuff because it's brand new.
And he says something like, "Yeah, it'll affect you too," or something like that. I mean, maybe. I'm hoping not, but I think that's probably more likely because this movie is very sad.
It's it goes very sad, dark places.
Yeah.
It's also I'd like to think that the Korn plot, the whole idea that someone was able to subvert the entire American culture with this, I guess, genetic attack, because the X-Men were wiped out. Right. They were the force that was stopping things like this.
Right, okay.
That we're always figuring that out. And once the X-Men are gone, because Professor X killed them...
Yes.
Then it allowed the plot to take over. Like, the whole idea that someone's going to be poisoning...
Yeah, the world... Because it's the Korn plot is facilitated by anti-mutant extremists anyway.
Yeah.
So it's just the X-Men basically lose the war.
Yeah.
The question is... Or a question is... Did Professor X kill everybody with his brain, or did Professor X use his brain and make Wolverine kill everybody? Because there's a little bit of theory about that.
Okay.
I don't think that he did. I think that Professor X killed everybody, and either Wolverine was there and helpless to stop him.
Yeah.
I think that it was more that Wolverine didn't do what was normally necessary. That,
which would be to kill him.
Yeah, that like Wolverine let the X-Men die kind of out of pity for Professor X. Maybe he just couldn't bring himself to kill him.
Then how'd he stop the seizure?
He must have just hurt him, or waited for it to stop.
Okay. Or possibly left.
Yeah. Well, it could be that Wolverine just wasn't there, also. Like, it was just one of his patented road trips, and when he came back, everybody's dead, and Professor X is just like, I don't know.
Huh.
I like to think that Wolverine was in the mansion and had the opportunity to kill Professor X and didn't take it.
Right.
Because every day... Professor X has the seizure and almost kills that poor albino Caliban. And every day, I think it's real sad. But, like, Wolverine doesn't do it at any point.
And Professor X also asks him to let him die.
Yeah.
And Wolverine won't.
That's true. Yeah.
And that's why, like, I say that, like, Wolverine is the most, like... Not like he's damaged. He's a damaged individual. And that's the selfish part of him. Like,
yeah, he's like, I can't let you die because otherwise, then everyone's dead. Then all the X-Men are dead.
Yeah,
because I was never really an X-Man anyway.
Right. Well, he doesn't have enough faith in himself.
No, to be a hero or to be good.
Yeah, without him.
Mm-hmm.
And like this is the one redeeming thing in his mind that he's doing.
Well, he's keeping the only person who ever believed in him alive.
Mm-hmm.
And he thinks he's doing it unselfishly.
Yeah. Well, or yeah, it's I think he's he's convinced himself that what he's doing is right, even though it might probably not be.
Yeah.
Or certainly against the wishes of the person he's protecting.
Yes. So I saw a lot of people asking, like, oh, like at the end, spoilers if you haven't already.
We're already there.
When Laura turns
the cross to an X.
People are like, is it Weapon X? Is it X-Men? I assumed it's X-Men. All the kids are reading the comic. The kid had the Wolverine doll. It had to be X-Men. They cut his beard to match the character.
Yeah.
They sure did.
Okay, can I just say, there was a moment where I'm watching this movie, and then I want you to answer this question. When they arrive at the meeting place,
yes,
and the kids are there, and I was like, this is Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome.
I can see it.
And then I was like, except it's done way better.
Yeah.
Like, for a quick second, I was like, they're just kids, and there's one kid who's in charge, and like...
But they're not telling, like, stories on a wall and speaking a weird language.
I know! But I'm just saying, like, for a second, I was like, no, okay, we're good.
Yeah.
But yeah, so do you think it's X-Men or Weapon X?
So I don't even think that Laura knows what Weapon X is.
Right?
So I would, okay, so here's the thing that I really wanted it to be. I wanted it to be that, like, Fox decided they don't know how to make X-Men movies anymore.
Right.
And they're like, look, we know how to make Deadpool movies, apparently.
Right.
And I think we know how to make Wolverine movies.
Right.
So Hugh's done. Ryan's just getting started. We'll keep making Deadpool movies. We'll let Hugh go and end the entire franchise. Like,
so it's like the death of the X-Men movies?
For me,
it's a metaphor?
Yes, I want the X to be the death of the franchise.
You want that, though, because you want Marvel to take it back.
Yes, but I also want it to be the death of Fox's X-Men from 2000 to 2017. I want that to be over. Mm-hmm. I want them to either... And it looks like they're doing that. That Fox is going in another direction because, like, Legion is successful and totally different. Deadpool's successful and totally different. And
yeah.
Logan is successful and only is similar in as much as they kept the two of the three best actors of the franchise in this movie.
And that's what it is. Like, when you come down to it, I mean, the movie's successful because it had a limited pool to draw from in terms of Old Man Logan and just Wolverine in general. But, like, you have two amazing actors. One who's been playing this character forever. The other one has as well, but he's also a Shakespearean actor. Like, I love James McAvoy.
Yeah, he's nice. He's a fine actor.
I don't see him giving me that powerful of a performance.
Not yet.
I don't know. I don't know. Like,
I mean, Split should indicate that maybe he's got some range, but like the fact is, I don't. Well, I didn't think about that.
You know what I mean? But for me, like, this was like. They took such a risk, in my opinion. They put one really old guy and one kind of old guy on the screen, and they're like,
and one unknown little girl.
Yeah, and they're like, here you go.
Here's your cast. I don't know.
But it works
and
so well.
Amazing.
Well, you know why it works? Because they respected the filmmaker and let them do what they wanted to do.
Yeah.
As much as, you know, the Marvel method, you know, Marvel's like, well, you do this, here's the formula, put the character in here and the girl in there, and you got the movie. We know it works. We get, like, solid B+ films as a result of that. Studio interference, when it comes to the Marvel method, works, but by and large, studio interference with every other franchise does not work. And we've seen it with X-Men Apocalypse. But whenever a director with a clear vision and an idea goes, I have a freaking idea, and I'm going to do it, and just let me make my movie, it works.
Yeah.
Deadpool is the example. Logan's the example.
You know what they're going to learn, though, from this? They're going to be like, rated R movies do great.
Well, because that's the Batman, that's the Dark Knight effect.
Yeah.
Oh, crap, people really liked this dark, realistic, gritty take on Batman. Let's do that forever for everything.
Right, and it's like, no, this worked because Wolverine can carry that.
Because Wolverine is a dark, R-rated character who's tragic.
When you get to the end of it.
Yes.
Oh, no, God.
I was going to say, let's talk about the end.
Oh, I meant the end of the Wolverine story.
Oh, yeah.
Like, when you get to the end of that, he's a rated R character. He might be fun and PG-13.
Right, in the beginning.
A little earlier on.
Yeah.
But
except even in X-Men 2, he slaughters people.
Yeah. But then on top of it, you do put, like, in a character who was, like, supposed to be this hopeful individual, but because of the actor you have, he can carry the role and fit seamlessly into this world.
Yeah. Oh, you could have a silly ass movie like X-Men Origins Wolverine or X3.
Yeah.
And have him make silly ass quips and do really
I was
dumb
talking about
things.
Patrick Stewart.
Oh,
like,
well,
he
either
was
way.
Like a hope. He's supposed to be the beacon of hope.
He is.
Yeah.
He is the only person who should. He's the immovable object. And
Right.
in this, he is not.
No.
It's tragic. But that's here's
but
the thing.
hang on, he's not an immovable object, but he is still a thorn in his side in terms of believing in him still. As soon as he starts to regain his faculties.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, and like I know before we talked about the ending, I know I saw some people being like this was kind of boring, they didn't like it.
Who said it was boring?
I saw some people like
Ooh.
Some people may not feel like this is the movie for them because they are looking for something different.
Well, they're looking for more action, maybe. Because,
Yeah.
like, here's the thing. I didn't think that there were too many lulls. I love a lull. In my superhero movies, in my action-adventure franchise, I love moments where everybody takes a breath.
Yeah.
And we get a little character moment.
Like dinner.
Yes. Dinner is the perfect scene. It's the scene in the trailer that everyone went, oh, no, this is the saddest part of the movie, probably. Yeah. I gotta say, it didn't feel like there were... I felt like there were 3.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, there's 3 moments where it's like, where we're taking a break. Because almost immediately after that, every lull is interrupted by an explosively well-crafted action sequence.
Yes. I mean, the dinner sequence amps up.
The dinner sequence...
It's not explosive.
That goes to a place that I didn't expect them to go to. Everyone dies.
Yeah.
They slaughter everyone.
Yeah, but again, we build to that. Like, we have the dinner scene, and then the power, like, you know...
The hydro plant scene.
The dinner scene comes to a perfect end, which really should have been the indicator. If it wasn't...
Darker days are coming.
It's not going to be okay.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, oh, the power goes out. We'll go handle that. Oh, there's a little bit of a hassle. You know what I mean? It's just like, oh, it's a little bit of a hassle. Will we go back? And it's just like, until everyone is slaughtered.
Yeah. I'm going to ask everybody here this question. What was the part where you cried first? Because I'll start.
Yeah.
It was when Logan carried Professor X up the stairs. When he says, I gotta help my dad go to bed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck. That is sad. It's because it was for me, it was the realest moment in the movie. Where it's just an old man who's still taking care of his father. And I was like, damn. That was the first part.
Yeah.
I only cried once during this movie.
Okay.
I kind of expected to cry more.
Yeah.
I didn't expect to cry at all, and then once things started happening,
Like,
I thought I would cry
this is
a lot
all very
more.
sad!
Oh no! The only time I cried was when Logan was impaled and was saying goodbye to Laura. And I cried because he was telling her, like, it's going to be okay. And when he says, so this is what it feels like... Yeah. And I think he's not only talking about, so this is what dying feels like, but also, so this is what being happy feels like. This is what having a family feels like. This is what caring for someone more than I care for myself feels like. That's when I cried.
Right on, man.
I cried there. I cried when Professor X died. I cried when he carried him up the stairs. But the first time I cried was when we first ran into Professor X.
Ugh. And he's not himself.
Yeah, because I've seen that.
Yeah. That was rough.
Because I've been where Logan is, and like I immediately not to that degree, because where Logan is, and like I totally like got it, and like again that's a personal experience, but where it's like you're so angry at that person for this having happened to them, for changing, for not being who they are, for being so sick, and you're so angry at yourself because you can't do anything about it, and you really can't fix
and all you can express is anger.
Yeah, all you can do is maintain, and like so like for me that was the first place. That was it. I was like, okay, I'm done. You put an old man in the movie. Like, old people make me cry.
That's the thing, is that, but like, Patrick Stewart has been giving that performance since TNG. Like, since 25 years ago.
I know.
That old man is making me cry.
I know.
And now he's actually old. He looked frail as shit. It made me really sad. It made me very happy to watch interviews with Hugh Jackman and Patrick Stewart recently,
where he's okay.
They look totally fine. And I'm like, oh, thank God.
I know.
It was mostly makeup.
It was mostly makeup. It was just his...
And apparently, Jackman did a very similar regimen to his usual Wolverine setup.
Yeah.
But he cheated a lot more. Uh-huh. He ate more than he wanted to and stuff. But and Stewart actually comments on this in the interview where he says you can see it in your face.
Yeah.
That you're a little thinner.
Yeah.
I think Jackman said he wanted to be more wasted away.
Yeah,
and Mangold's like, no, you're still Wolverine,
right,
but you're just done.
Yeah, but like, and for me, Stewart has the ability to transform himself into a character. So like, he was like, I'm playing an old man. I'm going to be an old man. The other place that really got me was when, and it's like a funny scene, but it really just hit me. Like, I don't know what it was.
Well, that's the thing, yeah.
But like, it's when they're in Vegas. And they, like, see the clothes.
Yes.
And they get the clothes. And, like, the whole Laura thing, I get it. It's very sad. It's when he's got the bag in his lap and he, like, gets the hat out. And, like, he's just excited by it and he's trying to give Wolverine his. Yeah. Because, like, at that moment, he's not, like, Professor X. He's just like, here, look. Like, we're going to be normal for a little bit. And, like, I don't know what it was about that. Because it's just such an old, like, it's a real person thing to do.
Yeah.
And it's just like, not now. Like, and it's Wolverine brushing those moments aside that kills me because it's those moments you can never get back.
That's right.
And as an outsider looking in on that, like, it kills me.
Yeah.
But, like, for Wolverine, it's something that he may never even remember.
Yeah.
And, like, that, like, got me.
Logan is a sad movie. Someone asked me in one word, how would I describe Logan? The first one I chose was fuck. Because, number one, that's the first line of dialogue. Number two, it's the word probably most recently used. And number three, that's how I felt when it was over. I just went, fuck.
Like, drained.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess, like, a more PG word, I would say was mournful. Because it's a send-off. Usually when you send somebody off, you're like, farewell, have a good safe travels. No, this is a funeral of a movie. They're not gracefully letting Hugh Jackman walk away from this film.
No.
They're killing him and burying him under rocks. Like, ugh. That said, it is that, like, at no point am I going to say at this, like, afterwards, like, well, so don't see it because it's freaking sad.
No.
It's incredibly cathartic.
It's incredibly cathartic. That's why it needs to be the last X-Men movie.
Yep.
Because you're done.
Yep.
The only time I can accept any more is if Deadpool time travels to before Logan.
Yeah.
But otherwise, you can't have a scene where Laura tips the cross to an X, and then it fucking plays just sad Johnny Cash, and then claws blast out of the rocks. He's and you're like, no! You can't have that moment.
Yeah.
I expected that. Not the claws blasting out. I expected when they zoomed in,
move.
the rocks were just going to tumble a little bit.
Yeah.
And I was like, I was waiting for it, and it didn't happen. I was like, wait, that's a good thing, right?
Yeah.
Yes, that's a good thing. Okay.
Yeah, right? Like, would I rather it just be dead? Yes.
No, that ending is ballsy. Because the natural ending to that would be you see the kids get to
where you see you see the children, the next generation, like, succeed.
No, they're like, we don't care about them.
No,
this movie was about this what's
this
under
old
this
man
pile of rocks here.
Yeah.
That's what this is about.
Yeah. The only two characters that this movie was about are 6 feet under.
That's right.
By the end of the movie. Huh. So, I mean, obviously you have to go see Logan. If you haven't already, definitely go check it out. If you have seen it already, see it again because you will catch some of these moments. Even if it is sad and it reminds you of things that are, like, really kind of real and upsetting to you in real life. Yeah. I think it's impactful and it matters and it's worth investigating and, dealing with. So, Logan. Wow. Who'd have thought that the dude with, like, the dude who fought the mouth closed Deadpool,
right?
Chopped off his head and fucking the optic blast knocked over the thing. They even do the adamantium bullet thing.
Yeah. Let me just say, like that was handled so much better than anything from another superhero movie that recently came out.
Though that took itself seriously?
No, I was just gonna say, like, in general, where it's like, here's the thing that's going, like, this is an item, and you're gonna want to pay attention to this item, and we're gonna remind you about it every once in a while, and then it's actually going to be used to do exactly what inevitably we lead you to think it's going to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there's another movie that misses the ball on that one.
Well, there's plenty of those.
I'm not gonna mention it, because we're talking about this.
Yeah.
I'll tell you afterwards.
Alright. Anyway, Logan, check it out. There you have it, everybody. Logan, the film, and it is a real friggin' movie. So go check it out, and we'll see you guys next week with another episode of Off the Rack where we actually review comics and hopefully don't get real sad. So see you guys next week. Thanks a lot for watching, everybody, and keep on watching.